about it, your gut feeling, your intuitiveness, or your friend, you talk to your friend and say, hey, listen, I'm planning to do this, and you have deep, long conversation, and he says, very good idea, buddy, go on with it, come on, come on. That's not it. You have to be able to evaluate for yourself whether it dispassionately, if you look at it, it is still going to give you that satisfaction, it is still going to get you financial returns, and it's still going to get you emotional satisfaction. They say even Bill Gates, and more than Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, when he was giving away so much money to charity, he was saying, one of the mistakes that I made in my young age was that I was so passionate and blinded by my work that I never thought of the emotional satisfaction that I need to get. And the charity that I do now gives me that emotional satisfaction. I am glad that I earned that money, that I'm now in a position to give back to society. But in retrospect, maybe if I had done it alongside, I would have still earned the same amount of money and given back more to society. That was what he was quoted as saying at one of his later year things just before he passed away. Somebody was talking to him and they said that this is what his feelings are. So like that, if you are only driven by the money part of it and there's no emotional satisfaction, the minute there is a crisis, you would feel, Arey, what is all this worth it, you know? Really, what is the satisfaction? I'm working from morning to night, and now today my general manager has quit, and my manager has quit, and somebody else has quit, and somebody else has left, and now again I have to start from scratch, getting people, training them, but that is your business. So if you don't have that emotional satisfaction, you will not, you know, your feelings will come low. At the same time, if you're not earning money, you would feel, why did I give up everything to put into this and I'm not seeing even one paisa? My employees are earning better than me. My customers are earning better than me. My raw material suppliers are earning better than me. What am I getting out of it? Why am I in this now? What am I in this for? So you will get those kind of feelings. So you have to be able to balance the emotional satisfaction of the passion with the money earnings from your product and the business, so that you feel good on a long term. I won't say that as an entrepreneur I feel good all the time, every day. That fine-tuning of the balance sometimes doesn't happen. Sometimes it veers towards money, sometimes it veers towards emotional satisfaction. But over a period of time, if you can maintain that balance, then that is something where you want to be. Next. To obtain bank finance, if you go to a bank and you want to get a loan, the first thing they ask you for is, where is your business plan? Have you made a business plan? And they ask for that. To obtain investment funds, you need a document. And not only that, the people who are going to be your prospective venture capital or seed capital, they ask you to talk about it. They want to see your passion. I was mentioning the example of Flipkart. The promoters were so passionate. They said, we want to beat Amazon of USA. We want to be another Amazon of India, China, and Asia. We want to be like that. And that was the passion they brought to the table. The balance sheets that they had bought, the profit and loss which they showed in their business was all loss. But they said, we need to go large volumes to be able to recover the profits. And that is the passion that they brought. To establish strategic alliances, you need to do that. Then you need a business plan. A lot of people in the food business do that. Maybe if you're already in the food business and you want to be franchisee of Pizza Hut, then you need to have a business plan, how you're going to be able to service what Pizza Hut is looking for, your business partners. To obtain initial contracts, maybe you need a small business plan, which if you are going to maybe a defense contract, or if you're going to be, a supplier to airlines or the railways, then they ask you for a small idea of what your products are, what your technical strengths are, what kind of turnover you're doing, who are your other customers, what is the management team that you have, because they look at long-term plans. They don't look at short-term plans. So if you need to be a supplier, a vendor of a product to these kind of agencies, then, and there is, let me tell you, there is a huge demand for import substitution items. Most of these technical requirements and technological requirements of the government companies, such as the railways, airlines, and so on, there are a lot of imported parts. Those who are technically capable should look at Indianizing some of them, indigenizing some of them, and there's a huge demand for that. So they do look, asking for small, short business plans. To attract key employees, if you are in the range of a mid-sized business and you want to, get some other top CEO or a good person to head your business, then they do that. In the Silicon Valley now, I had a friend there who was talking in the US, in California, in San Diego, in San Francisco, which is the Silicon Valley area. There are a lot of startups which have got sold for very good, very good millions of dollars. They've been acquired by companies like Yahoo and even Google, and all of them have taken over. And many of the very good entrepreneurs have sold out large businesses. They do have options of starting some other business, but they are ready to go as CEOs of other startups. So you do get and for them, because they have already earned well and they have made their millions by selling out their companies, money is not the criteria. The business is the criteria. So if they see a challenge in the business, they are ready to come as CEOs of your companies. And if your company is interesting enough for them, then they are ready. There was, an example is, there was a gaming company which developed all these video games and apps and all that. And I think one of the companies, Zynga or somebody, bought them over. And the CEO of that company, the owner of the earlier company, became the CEO of another smaller apps developed company. He was under contract not to go to another competitor gaming company. When he sold the company to Zynga, one of the terms of the contract was that he shouldn't work in the same thing for the next 2 years or something like that. There was some clause. So he went to a similar company as a CEO. He said, 2 years, I'll wait it out. I'll be CEO. I'll use my knowledge and my experience to develop this other company. And after that, I'll decide whether I want to continue here or whether I want to set up something on my own. So to attract key employees, you need to have a small business plan. So when you're very large, of course, you must have heard the name used a lot, mergers and acquisitions. They are for very large companies. You need detailed business plans for that. To motivate and focus your management team. Your team needs to know where you are going. It needs to know what is the direction the company is going. Otherwise, at the hint of a crisis, at the hint of a problem, they tend to lose interest. So you have to be able to carry the team with you, at least the core team, the management team. And that is part of the important thing. So sometimes some companies use at least not all the facts they reveal, but some of the key factors. What is the market? How much have we done? What is the growth we are trying for? And some of the key factors they look at for motivating. The types of business plan, of course, you have for the bank loan, for the lifestyle businesses, and then you use it as a feeler for gauging initial interest. When you use it as a feeler, maybe you won't reveal the entire data, but you would use that to find out what kind of reaction it is. It will help you implement those negative feedback that you may get, instead of thinking that, what is this he's saying? Instead of that, if you use his negative feedback to plug the holes in your own business, then you would be able to use that as to gauge the initial investor interest. This is, of course, when we talk of the full business plan, it's a very detailed business plan. I'm just bringing your awareness to it. You are probably not going to do it now, but it would consist of nearly some 40-50 pages of full information, right from the product, right up to the finances. The operational plan, this is used for large companies where you are, even banks, they use an operational plan. What was my last year's performance? We call that operational or performance planning. And what should be my this year? Should it be 20% growth? They do territory-wise. In the South Territory, I will grow 30%. In the West Territory, I will grow 15%. In the North Territory, I will grow 40%. So they will have a different, then overall business plan, territory-wise, area-wise, and overall. So they do operational and performance plans. Next, please. So to service all these needs, what should the contents of a business plan be? I've put all the, I've put down all the components of the business plan so that you could go methodically and see how to fill it. The title page, the table of contents, an executive summary and fact sheet. Now, many people don't bother to read the full business plan. They will just read the executive summary and the fact sheet. The executive summary takes in very concise and crisp words. It talks about your entire project. In 2 pages, you must be able to say everything about your project, its strengths and what it dreams, what the visions are, what it hopes to achieve, if you have a mission, vision statement for your company, what your dreams are, and how you hope to achieve those goals. How your dreams are to be transferred into set operational goals and how you are going to achieve them step by step. This entire activity has to happen within 2 pages. Okay? The body of the plan. In which industry are you operating? Okay, that should be there. Whether is it if it is a component, is it a telecom industry? Is it a communication industry? Is it a specific thing? Let's say it's a plastic product that you're doing, so maybe some injection molded product. Is it, for which industry is it? Is it for the consumer industry? Are you making a part for some, bucket or something like that? Or you're making high quality injection molded product with very, very low errors and for the aviation industry? Or are you doing for the, transportation, rail and road transportation? So which industry are you focusing on? What kind of products? Because your growth, your diversification, your movement to other products would probably in the same area, No, the previous one, please. The product that you are presently offering, and then you go from the market analysis. Market analysis, when we talk about, is an overall market. Like we have, okay, I'll give you another example. This was about a food product, okay? Now, this food product, very well-known food product company, they were making spices, chili powder, turmeric powder, jeera powder, pepper powder, and so on. And mixes, rasam, sambar mix, and various other chana mix and whatever mixes. Very well-known product. They were in the south. They were operational in the south. And they said that they wanted to move into the Maharashtra market. And they said we will move into the Maharashtra market, particularly in 2-3 areas, Nagpur, Bombay, and so on. And they said in Bombay, they did one study and they said the buying patterns are different in Bombay. Consumers don't go everywhere. So far, they had 100-gram packets, which were very popular in the south. They said we will go for bulk packaging because in Bombay and all, people don't go shopping regularly. They like to buy in bulk and keep it. So the study was done, and then they decided to launch the wholesale size packets. And after 6 months, they found that their sales was very, very poor. And so they sat and they decided to have a review and said, why? There's a huge market there. There's a huge demand for ready foods. There's a huge demand for these kind of packaged items. And we do know that Bombay is one of the highest markets for these kind of foods and products. So why is it not moving? And can any of you take a guess why? Sorry? Yes, how did it affect? 1 minute, she has an answer, yes? Yes, partly correct, 90%. I would say climatic conditions, she said. The climatic conditions, what happens, they introduced it few months before the rainy season. In the rainy season in Bombay, if you have observed, even bread and pickles and everything is kept inside the fridge because it develops fungus very early. So during the rainy season, people do not buy bulk packages, particularly things that will grow fungus like chili powder and turmeric and jeera and dhania. Within 3 days, if you keep it in a bottle in the kitchen, it will grow fungus. And nobody has that huge houses and nobody has that huge fridges where they can stock all this. So that was the reason where though there is a market, the marketing plan did not coordinate with the market and hence the product did not move. There was no problem about the product quality. There was no problem about people wanting it. But they did not, they wanted small packets. They did not want the packaging was the problem. So when you go to the product, we will talk about it. You need to go detailed into every area of the product. Okay? See what a small difference in, what a large consequence it had. So they had to withdraw all those bulk packages, half kg, 1 kg packages, and then they were used only by the hotels and the consumer, the family consumers, the small-time consumers, they had to go back to only the smaller packets. But they had already lost so many months in that process. So many months, so much cost. But yes, they took a decision and they said, yes, we made a mistake, now let's get moving on. They didn't say, oh my, we took so much loss, what to do? They just went on. Okay? Development plan, the production operations plan. What you produced must have some relevance to your marketing plan. You must have heard in Japan, they have something called just in time. Particularly they have in the automotive companies where they don't stock inventory. Inventory holding becomes a dead investment. So they try not to hold too much inventory because you have to put money in the inventory and keep it stocked and then supply. In India, we tend to do that because when the order comes suddenly, we can't produce at that point of time. Your person is on leave or power is not there or raw material has not arrived. There's some strike. So we always keep inventory stock and say, we'll supply from the inventory and then we will. So for regular customers and regular orders, there is a process of what we call inventory stock. That they are trying to reduce it and keep it away, and they call it just in time. So if the customer wants it, they manufacture it and regular. It is like our idli. When we want it steaming hot, it comes from the kitchen. You get your idli, you get your sambar, you get your chutney. Only chutney is there in stock. They will serve it quickly and dish it out in the morning. So, but otherwise they normally give you from the inventory. So development plan, then the operations plan. To enable you to do the operations, then you decide what kind of a management team you must have. What kind of people do you have? Your HR policies come into play. Do you have one manager, one supervisor? Do you have 2 managers, 2 supervisors? Are you planning to operate 1 shift, 2 shifts, 3 shifts? How are you going to manage? Do you have a large capacity, which means a higher investment in land and building and people and your assets, fixed assets? Or are you going to have a smaller investment in a smaller place and run the same thing 2 shifts so that you use your assets much better? So these are some of the decisions that you will be taking. And based on that, you will have to plan your staffing operations. Implementation schedule and the risks associated with the venture. And then finally, the financial plan. The financial plan, though it is the last item, is the most important item because our entire purpose of this business is converting an idea or a product into a commercial venture. So the finances are the most important areas. How are you going to do this transformation? The raw material, then it gets converted, added value, goes through many processes. If it is a product, it goes through many processes, becomes a final product. So to produce 100 products, maybe you actually, to produce 100 saleable products, you may be producing 110 items with a 10% rejection. And then that means your raw material and all input costs are for 110, but your selling returns are only for 100. Right? These are some of the factors you will have to incorporate. So 100 you will sell, and that 100 returns on 100 products that you sell must fetch you enough to cover 110 items that you have produced, plus your interest, plus your land, plus your rental, your power, your regular daily expenses, whatever it is, staff, your transportation, communication, all that has to get covered in this. And that is then your cost, your selling price. Based on that, you will fix your selling price. Then you have to go back to the market and see, does the market absorb this selling price? And if it doesn't, then you have to come back here. We call this forward and backward iteration. So you come back and then see, okay, if I do 100 products, it's not enough. Whereas if I do 200 products and I reduce